Was the meeting properly announced, Megan? And I'd like to have a stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Yes, so I wasn't at the last meeting, and I just state names and you
Sure.
just say here. So Shapey,
Here.
Mullins is excused. Wimmer.
Here.
Okay. Crew,
Substituting Baker for Krug.
McLaughlin.
Here.
And Quick.
Here.
And Olson.
Okay, it's before you can see the agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Second,
Second.
Baker was the second. Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And are there any against, say nay? The agenda is approved. Moving on to the minutes. Has anyone had the opportunity to review the May 16th committee meeting minutes? Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? If there are no corrections, the minutes are approved. We're gonna have a little bit of a glitch in the agenda. Pat Wagner is on her way here, and she's just being delayed a little bit. So we're gonna bounce down and go to the educators report, and then when Pat comes in, she can go back to the Air Extension Director's report. If everyone is okay with that. Okay. So the educators report was attached. Are there any questions for the staff? Evan is here, Sheila's here, Angela is here. I think Linda's coming, right? She's not, okay. Are there any questions for the staff on the educators report? All right, thank you for coming to address any questions. All right, so we are going to go on to presentations and introductions. Evan, you are first up. Thank you.
All right, so you guys can hear me. Thank you, guys. I just want to take a couple minutes and just explain and highlight two programs that my position facilitates. So the first one, I gave everyone a handout. The first one is SAIL. And SAIL is a program that stands for Serving as Youth Leaders. It's designed to give an opportunity to high school youth, grades 10th, 11th, or 12th, the opportunity to engage with county departments and build those youth and adult partnerships by serving on county board. So you may have noticed right when you were elected in, we had one member this year, Emily Schultz. She just finished her term. And so the program is designed, like I said, so they engage, they learn about, they attend a committee meeting like this today. They can either attend the same committee meeting each month, or they can rotate through all the committees. That's a decision that's made to them when they first get elected on. And then they will attend county board as well. So just some of the highlights that Emily helped us achieve this year is she learned about zoning, she learned about the register of deeds, land and water. And so she chose to do all of rotating through each committee. We were forever thankful for all our department managers as they allowed us to take tours and showcase all the jobs and career opportunities that are available within Adams County. One of the big pieces here is they do have to live within Adams County lines. So we do send this information to Wisconsin Dells High School, Nakusa, Westfield, Adams Friendship, and we are making work towards reaching our homeschool population. And so on the page in front of you, you'll see Robert's rules. So typically we would run run through Robert's rules with them and teach them what that is. However, the past two teams had great information already on Robert's rules, so we didn't have to run through that, but that would be a session that we would teach them. So then the other program that goes with it is on the backside, and that's Student Government Day. So, and this again is to teach high school aged youth how county government works together. And typically it has a theme. So for this year, we did a distracted driving or a texting while driving theme. So students got to see how law enforcement and emergency personnel would respond to that. And then they would see how that played out in a mock trial in the afternoon. So we worked heavily with the sheriff's department as well as the VA's office. And this year we invited Nakusa School as well as Adams Friendship, but we just had Nakusa join us, and it was held in the town of Rome. Other things that we've done was drug bust and then child abduction. Any questions? So again, both of those programs, they involve you as well. So you will see this every month on my report, the sales program you'll see. So engage, we are searching for 4 more students this year. And we do have some applicants. We're super excited. So again, starting in September, you're invited to join in the conversation with us each month. Questions on either one of those programs?
Have I one? Are you saying that the sales student or students will start in September?
That's our hope, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it just depends on when we have applications come in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is a presentation by Heidi Johnson. Is she? She's traveling with Pat? Yes. Okay, so there'll be a small delay in Heidi's also. So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Natasha Paris, the regional crops educator for Adams, Washira, and Green Lake counties. Natasha, do you want to come up and tell us all about yourself?
Hello. Okay. Hello, my name is Natasha Paris, and this is my very first day on the job as the regional crops educator for Area 14. What do you want to know? I am, let's see, I live in Green Lake. My husband and I have a farm in Green Lake. We raise beef and pork. And we also rent an additional some acreage. For the last 7 years, I have been serving as the ag teacher and FFA advisor for Ripon High School. I serve on the Green Lake County Farm Bureau Board. And let's see. That's all right. So as far as my position, I am based in the Montello office. That's where I will be most of the time. But I will be coming to Adams and Washira and maybe Green Lake whenever it is needed. I'm very excited about this position and this new opportunity because, well, it's going to be a little less chaotic than high school. I hope, right? No, I'm extremely passionate about soils and creating profitable and responsible cropping systems. So that's something I'm really looking forward to working with farmers and interfacing with the public on. So, but again, we're on hour 5 on this job. I don't know what my job is yet. So, so any questions? I am an open book. Yes.
Well, I have one, and I don't expect you to have it all together today. Natasha, I'm glad you're here today. New position. Last week I was at last month at our committee meeting. It was brought up about plants and trees, and there's a 70-30 program. 70% the county pays and 30% the landowner pays. It's here? Okay, is somebody gonna give a presentation on that today, or is this just for our information?
This is for your information,
Okay.
but it goes into some of those programs,
All right.
Bill.
Well, here's my question.
And in fact, I think you're talking about the cyclones.
Yeah,
Yep, it's on the back.
okay. Why are we, my understanding is very little of this money is used, very little. And it's supposed to go to other counties that use the funds, what we don't use. Why are we letting that money get away? I drive down from here through the farmland, through Grand Marsh in March, April, and sometimes in May, and I just see dirt blowing across, nothing to stop it. Why are we letting this happen?
Well, that's great insight into the state of the county, because this is the furthest county from home for me, so I have spent the least amount of time here, but I've been driving around, I've literally been just driving around Adams County, lately, just trying to get to know it. But I look forward to having more time for that. I finished my school year in Ripon on Friday, and I had one day off yesterday, and now I'm here. But it looks like it's a land and water program, so are you land and water?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a different time in the agenda for
Yes.
them to speak to that? I'm gonna defer that to them, but now that I know the program exists, I'm very excited about it and working with Land and Water to help enroll more farmers in the program. Thank you.
Okay. At least we brought it to your attention.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
And I'm hoping we're gonna work on this, because I don't like to see those funds leave when there's a need.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know how aggressive we have to be, but we need to find out why we can't get these shelters up for the wildlife and our soils.
Well, I'm used to bossing around teenagers, so we'll see how aggressive I have to be. All right. I have multiple signs going up in my office that say, don't make me use my teacher voice. So.
Good.
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I suspect Land and Water knows the reason, but without myself knowing for sure, I'm guessing it's one or a combination of two things. They don't want to spend even the 30%, or they don't want to give up the cropland, which we. I mean, I would think Land and Water has dealt with this long enough, but they probably know the reason.
I suspect so. I suspect though, we just can't bury our head in the sand on this. There has to be an incentive. If this isn't enough incentive, maybe we need to find one.
Well, and the one thing to remember with SEG funds is that UW Extension has nothing to do with it. They don't have access to those funds. So that is strictly through Land and Water, and I can address it when we get to our section, answer your question.
Any other questions? For Natasha?
Or anything you want me to know about Adams County?
Just like to point out the fact that we have very sandy soil here.
Yeah, I'm aware.
It dries out very quickly,
Uh-huh.
therefore we have to use the pivot systems. Not everybody's has that, accessibility to irrigation, particularly tree farmers, it's really hard for them to irrigate, so that's the sandy soil is something that we should.
My farm is on sand, so I am familiar with some of the challenges of sand. And
Kind of, backing up what he was saying with the wind, so there's nothing to stop the wind.
Yeah.
It dries out the soil pretty quickly.
absolutely, absolutely, yep. I have been teaching, and I was certified by Lakeshore Technical College to teach college credit soils and agronomy classes. So I have been teaching at the college level, 2 high school students, but college level courses in soils for the last several years. So that is, yeah,
Good to have you on here with us.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is that everything for Natasha? Welcome, Natasha. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna back up because I saw Pat come in. Pat, could you give us your extension records report? Thanks for flying in here.
It feels like I did. Hi, basically, the only thing I have to update you on is that I continue to work with, in my role, I'm starting the 5th month, so I'm not quite as new as Natasha now, though, so she's a new kid on the street. Working with county committees across area 14 to bring things up to speed with our ag educator situations and working to get to know all of you in the county. I do have Heidi Johnson. She will be also flying in right after me. She had to finish, she was the last presenter at the conference I was at. And I really want her to be able to speak to you all. So if it's okay, when she gets here, we'll just fit her in sometime. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Because she will talk about Natasha's role and how that's going to look moving forward with all the counties across the state of Wisconsin. Okay? Any questions? Thanks for your patience and all of the scheduling today.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, so we'll come back to Heidi when she arrives. Let's see, financials. The financials were attached. Are there any questions on the expenses or the revenues for the extension? Seeing as there are none, we're gonna go into the land and water. Next on the agenda is the Golden Sands discussion of voluntary dues. Is Hannah on? Okay. Hannah, could you give us, I guess everybody from the last meeting was interested in what those funds are used for. So if you could kind of guide us on what the dues fund, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Do you mind if I give a little bit of an introduction? Because I know there have been some changes in the county organization as well as with the committee too, just as an individual introduction, one for the RC&D and then giving you an idea about what those dues help support.
Please do. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Hannah Butkevich. Actually, before I start, is everybody able to hear me? I don't want anybody to not be able to hear me.
We're gonna try to turn up the volume, Hannah, so hold on 1 second.
Okay. I mean, I can shout, but I don't know if I want to shout my presentation.
May you talk a little bit so we can kind of figure out if we've got the right
It's interior.
volume?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now?
I think that's better. Is everybody okay? I'm coming in loud and clear. All right, I'm gonna turn my microphone off.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Hannah Butkevich, and I am the Executive Director of Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Council, Inc., also known as Golden Sands RC&D. Yes, there will be a quiz after my presentation. Anyways, I wanted to participate in today's meeting because, as I just mentioned, I know there's been some changes in the county organization and structure, as well as with the committee position. So not everybody is as familiar with who we are and what we do. So Golden Sands RC&D is a regional conservation nonprofit. And the nonprofit was created in 1972 by county conservationists who recognized the value of having a group who was able to work across county lines as bridge builders to conserve our natural resources and to help grow Wisconsin's economy. So actually this year is a very special year because the organization is actually celebrating our 50th anniversary of providing science-based solutions to support our healthy economy and healthy environment. And as an organization, the RC&D provides conservation services to each of our 13 counties, including Adams County. So we actually have 13 different counties, including Adams County, that we're providing conservation services and working closely with. And all of our conservation services revolve around our 4 pillars, which include clean water, healthy forests, abundant wildlife, and sustainable agriculture. So we've got our toes dipped in all sorts of things. So as a nonprofit, we rely heavily on securing grant funding and contracts to support our efforts. And one of the funding sources which helps support Golden Sands mission and vision are the generous voluntary membership dues member county and corporate members contribute. So these are the dues that'll be that you'll be considering. So before you make the decision on whether or not you're interested in continuing to support the RCND, I wanted to give you an idea about the kinds of projects we have going on, which benefit Adams County. And I'm going to give a synopsis on things, but I really encourage you all to check out our website. We actually just redid it, so it's looking pretty sharp and snazzy, and it gives a nice overview of who we are and all of our projects that we've got going on underneath each of our pillars. And then I also encourage you all to find us on Facebook and to follow us there, because you'll check out our activity levels on the social media platform. But anyways, so as far as the projects go, Golden Sands has a couple of different sales. We provide tree shelter sales to landowners who are planting trees and are wanting to protect their trees. We provide bluebird houses and bat houses for sale to support wildlife. We provide aquatic invasive species lessons to area 5th grade students. We also provide grazing technical assistance, including the writing of grazing management plans to get producers throughout our service area and just in central Wisconsin in general, specifically in Adams County. We get producers qualified to receive cost share funding through the Natural Resources Conservation Service so that they can get conservation practices out on their land while supporting their livestock. Additionally, we assist the Natural Resources Conservation Service by hiring and supporting various staff which work similarly to the federal employees. Currently, the soil conservationist that we are supporting, their name is Lindsay Liskowski. And these individuals help NRCS fill the conservation demand in the area. I don't know how familiar you all are with Kyle Kettner, but actually Kyle Kettner, who's now leading the efforts with the 14 Mile Creek Watershed Management Plan, he actually worked for Golden Sands for a full year in that same position now that Lindsay works. Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Council also coordinates and is the fiscal sponsor for the Central Wisconsin Invasives Partnership, which Adams County is a part of. So this group secures funding to control invasive species, to educate individuals about identification, inventory, and just general control of invasive species. So Adams County is part of that cooperative invasive species group. Another project that is currently operating in Adams County and benefiting private landowners is our Cooperating for Woods and Wildlife project, where we have various demonstration forest sites, which we've established in our member counties to educate landowners, community members, just anybody about forest management, property management, and getting them connected with cost share programs and other conservation partners so that they can learn about what other people are doing on their land to then implement on their private land. And actually the demonstration forest site for Adams County is the Hendrickson Woodland, which was formerly known as the Full Cycle Tree Farm, which was previously owned by Nancy Livingston, who you may or may not know. And then also with our Cooperating for Woods and Wildlife project, we are promoting the formation of cooperatives through the Deer Management Assistance Program between neighbors. We want to emphasize and educate folks about the importance of cooperatively managing land for forests, forest productivity, wildlife habitat, and invasive species control. And also as part of this project, we are supporting and providing financial support to private landowners who are interested in restoring their land, specifically for the Karner blue butterfly, which is a federally endangered butterfly. And then another project we've got going on that we're supporting is the Central Wisconsin Windshed Partnership, which is based out of the Hancock Agricultural Research Station. And we are partners with the Central Wisconsin Windshed Partnership and assist with taking on the administrative role and the project by hiring on an LTE or LTEs in previous years, who assist Shannon Road with the installation of live windbreaks. As far as future projects, I can go into more detail, but for the sake of time, I'll just say that all projects are possible with partnership with Golden Sands RC&D. So really the opportunities are endless. And beyond our grant funded projects, we also provide a variety of professional services for hire, including the mapping and surveying and removal of aquatic and terrestrial invasive species. So that gives you a kind of a overview, and I'll say overview of all of the work that we are currently doing that is impacting and benefiting Adams County. And as I mentioned, there are endless future project opportunities. So the support and the voluntary membership dues that Adams County has provided to Golden Sands help support our mission and vision and support the conservation that works. That is our tagline, conservation that works. And to learn more about Golden Sands and what we've got going on, as a member county, Adams County, I want to encourage you all to continue to support and play an active role. And one of the ways that you can play an active role is by participating in our bi-monthly council meetings. So each member county gets to have 2 individuals which are selected to be part of our board of directors. And as being a board of directors, you get to help steer the organization in the direction that you want to see conservation work implemented in your area, but then across county lines as well, because county lines are something that we define, but natural resources extend beyond those county lines. So that's an overview of Golden Sands. It's an overview of the projects that we've got going on. There are lots of ways to get involved, to learn more, and to stay active, and to help guide Golden Sands to best address conservation needs in Adams County.
Thank you, Hannah. Are there any questions for Hannah? Bill?
Hi, welcome to our,
Bill, you might want to use your mic
sorry.
because I'm loud.
Yeah, thank you for addressing us today, Hannah. I have a question. How does Golden Sands feel about the new DNR plan regarding chemical harvesting and mechanical harvesting of weeds, invasive species or weeds in general?
I will be honest, I have not read that plan yet. If you'd like to share that with me, I would be more than happy to review that and provide feedback after I review of that plan.
Okay, I think we can get you a copy of that. Things are happening fast, and they claim, the DNR claims that they were very transparent in this effort, and so far, most organizations I've talked to, conservation organizations, know nothing about it, including most of our lakes. There are some that do, and there's quite a bit of pushback going on. I think we can get that up there. Well, you could just pull it up. It's the DNR plan. I don't think there's a number. It hasn't gone before the resources board yet. It will either this month or in August, and it's called the new plan for what you call it, chemical and mechanical harvesting of weeds. It's quite a penal 25% increase for the plan if it passes for all people that the lake's 10 acres or more. But I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand most of it, but I've read it twice now. But I'm sure you'd have no trouble pulling that up, and if you would. Maybe you want to study that.
Just for clarification, is it is it for aquatic plants and
Yes.
only? Okay,
Right.
okay. Okay, I think I have that management plan.
Okay, well, you might want to study it because there's a lot of things going on with it.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Hannah, could you tell us who the two members of the board are from Adams County that you made mention to?
Yeah, so Kason Morley had previously played a role, and then Paul Pisolini was
I
also.
see Paul's on. Hey, Paul. I don't know if you can hear us or not. So Paul, maybe you could address this. Are you still going to be attending these meetings as a citizen? Or are you,
Yeah, let me talk there, Jody, please. I will be attending these meetings periodically to make sure that, things are going in the proper direction. Also, they do provide clean water, clean boat people too. I know Tri-Lakes is having problems getting people to go and take care of the clean water, clean boat situation, and Golden Sand does do that. So that's another opportunity for the county to use them. But I plan on joining them, their organization as an outside person. I'm in the process of filling the papers out, but I believe that they're a good organization that are good for the county and good for all the counties that they represent. And they represent quite a few right now. So I think that it would be a good move for us to at least this year stick with them. And then next year we can evaluate how they do, and then at that time make a recommendation to the committee.
thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hannah, can I ask you a question? It appears, and I could be wrong, but that the Golden Sand is more of a liaison to getting things done and doing administrative things. Am I understanding that correctly?
We play multiple roles, and it really depends on how we can, like I said, we're the gap fillers. It's how we can help our partners. So whatever our partners' needs are at the time, we find a way to help them. So like with the Central Wisconsin Windshed partner, we are more that administrative role. We play that more administrative role, but we have very active roles with other projects that we're doing. And while I mentioned the projects for Adams County, we're involved in quite a few other projects, which like our Lake Monitoring Protection Network. Underneath our funding, we actually are the representative for 12 different counties. So we've got a lot of we're not just the liaison. We're doing boots on the ground work. We're playing the administrative role. We're doing what we need to do to help our partners achieve their mission and vision. And I appreciate what Paul said. And the only way you're going to be able to evaluate us is if through that participation in the meetings, and even considering getting involved with some of our different events and volunteer days, because then you'll get to see us in action and have more of that overlap. So I wanted to thank Paul for that statement.
So you had mentioned Kason. I guess Dustin, I'm gonna ask you, do you see someone from the department being one of the members? Planning Water Department?
We can do that.
Okay, so that would be one, and then I've also signed on for to attend the meetings. So, and that is open, I think, to anyone. There's a newsletter, isn't there, Hannah, that they can get involved in, so they're aware of what's going on?
So to be aware of the council meetings, we'd need to know who would be the two representatives, and they would get sent out an email with our agendas and our previous meeting minutes. But we do also have a newsletter that's separate, where we do a lot of highlights or different events or activities that are going on which is on a monthly basis that you can sign up to receive.
Okay, so I'm one of the county representatives, and Dustin will be contacting you with the department contact. And then the newsletters, I'm assuming if there's any interest, someone could get back to me with the interest, and then I could pass that on to Hannah, so that you guys would be on the newsletter emailing list. So, okay, thank you, Hannah. Also, the $1,900 that is being requested for dues, that is recommended, correct?
Yes, that's what we request from each of our counties.
Okay,
And but it is a I will acknowledge that it is a voluntary. It's not like we won't be helping you if you aren't able to contribute the
How-
19. But
how is that number determined, Hannah?
the number was determined based off of research that the administrative team had done previously that looked at our administrative overhead expenses, and they evaluated that they needed that kind of amount of support from each of their counties in order to help fill in some of the administrative needs. Because one of the difficulties with being an RC&D and a nonprofit and being strictly basically grant funded, is that there are some limitations with how grant funding comes in with indirect costs. And in order to support the organization, we need to support a strong administrative team to lead the efforts and to pay people, to make sure we've got some office space and the supplies that we need to be able to do the work we set out to do.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee members for Hannah? I guess not. Hannah, thank you very much for coming and explaining what Golden Sands is all about.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch your name. So as far as like,
I'm sorry, Jody Shapey, I'm the chair.
oh, okay, sorry.
I talked with Kevin. I think he's gonna get me on the various email notification list too, so.
Okay, and it's you and then Dustin.
Dustin will let you know. He's nodding.
Oh, he's not in. Oh, sorry. I thought
He's
Dustin.
here. He's nodding. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you said he's not in.
No,
Sorry.
he hasn't determined, I don't think yet, who he wants. So,
Okay, that sounds
All
great.
right.
Well, we'll get you on the list then,
Thank you.
of course.
Okay, so that is up for discussion on the dues for Golden Sands today. They're requesting $1,900 in the past. We have gone below that. Megan, I had notes on my last one. I think we have gone down as far as 800, haven't we? In previous years? Might even be lower than that. Yeah, okay, so 2019 was 1,900, 2018 was 350. Obviously, nothing is cheap in life, especially when you're paying for administrative costs. I would be interested to hear what the committee members feel on the price tag of $1,900. Go ahead, Bill.
Personally, I'm not, although she gave a presentation, I'm not convinced how effective the group is. I think what she talked about are some good issues, as we talked about, just as with the windbreaks. I'm not really convinced. I mean, even with this legislation coming up, it's going to affect every lake in the state. And she's not the only conservation organization. She knew nothing about it. And there's many others that don't. Why don't we know? We should be right on top of these things. Now, we do have, I believe, another report coming from Adams County Lake Alliance, right?
Yes.
And they have some good information on that. And I've been pursuing information on it. But I just wish I was convinced that $1,900 would be used effectively. And I'd be the first one to jump on board if I was convinced of it. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
Yeah, I'm in somewhat agreement with Mr. Wimmer, I guess. While she gave somewhat of an explanation for the need of that kind of money, we still, it didn't satisfy me, the explanation we got. I'd like to see hard numbers. I mean, and what the money individually itemized, hard numbers of what money is spent on. That's what I'd like to see. And I don't know how soon we need to act on this. I'm assuming they'll take the money when they can get it. So I would like to pursue it further to get that list of actual expenses before I'm willing to agree to $1,900 or that's again, that's my thing.
So I don't think there's a per se timeline. So I think making a request is a good idea. And so why don't we go ahead and request hard numbers, and then we'll put this off until next month. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Megan. Hannah, are you still on? Oh, Sheila.
No, I'm here.
You're still here.
I was interested to hear the discussion so that I can, I just wanted to hear what folks' thoughts were and if there's anything for me to learn about and provide some updated information. And I guess, is there, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Could you provide that information that obviously you heard in the background being discussed, hard numbers on where these funds particularly are put?
The $1,900.
Right,
Well,
and just overall, I mean,
overall,
yeah, overall, your organization.
Maybe a budget.
Do you want do you want our overhead budget for
Yeah,
the organization?
I think that would be profoundly informative.
Okay, yeah, I can provide an overhead budget. I can provide our budget, our actuals from last year and our draft for this year, if that would satisfy the request.
That would be wonderful. And Doreen had a question, and then we'll.
I was wondering how many people are employed.
How many people are employed?
Yes,
So
yes.
on an average throughout the year, we have 15, although we just went through a hiring for LTEs and field staff of another 11 folks. So we really ramp up things in the field season.
Is that
with the
all full-time or is part-time, full-time?
Sorry.
Is that all
So
full-time?
the 15 we've got one part-time individual who works year round, and then we've got the rest are full-time. And then the folks that are coming into the field season, the LTEs, the majority of them are working at full-time. I think we only have a couple that are clean boats, clean waters, watercraft inspectors that are working underneath a full-time schedule.
Thank you, Phil.
well, I think we're on the right track here. There's a lot of getting the budget, I think is a good idea. And also now hearing about the employees, I'm also thinking that just so we don't belabor this any more than we have to, if we receive something that tells us what exactly these employees are responsible for, what they do. And I think, at least for me, I can't think of anything else. I think that should probably cover it so we can make an informed decision.
Hannah, did you hear that?
Can I ask for clarification? You want to have a description of each employee's role? Is that what I'm hearing?
Essentially, I think, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
terrific. And then we'll postpone this discussion for next month. Anna, would that give you enough time to get us this information?
What day would you need this information by?
Our next meeting is July 5th.
Okay. I will get this information. I will get this information to you by then.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. We are going to, this is Heidi. This is Heidi. Okay, we're gonna bounce back to UW Extension and Heidi Johnson. The UW Madison Agriculture Institute Director
Yes.
is here. Thank you for flying in.
Sure. My helicopter's on the roof.
There you go. Thank you.
You want me to just start? Okay. No, we can't see it.
For a minute.
There's my- Shows what she's in. No. So people can hear me.
I'm gonna share the screen.
Trying. There it is. Right. Okay, so go ahead and get started. All right, is that better? Okay. Usually people have no trouble hearing me. Well, thank you for having me today. I am Heidi Johnson. I'm the director of the Agriculture Institute for Extension. And I'm talking a little bit about the new staffing that we are doing for agriculture staffing for Extension. You've already bought into our new extension staffing plan. Natasha started today. I'm going to give you a little bit of background and more information than I think you had heard before about it. So I will start with a little history. So why are we changing at all our approach to agriculture staffing? Basically, when the pandemic hit, we realized that we had some time. We had the time because we were in a hiring freeze. The whole university went into a hiring freeze after the pandemic came. So we had a little bit of time to think about some of the challenges that we were having related to staffing. One of the biggest challenges that we had as we've taken budget cuts at the state level over the years is we only had enough funding to co-fund about 55 agriculture positions across Wisconsin. How many counties? Anybody? 72, right? Terrible math. So we didn't have enough positions to actually meet all the county demand that we were having. So every time we had vacancies, we were ending up in bad positions of trying to pick which counties to fund and which counties to not fund for agriculture staffing. So it wasn't working very well. The other challenge that we were having is we were having a lot of turnover. And as people left our organization, we did exit interviews and people were telling us that they weren't sure what this job was. So we would hire people, they would come into a county, we would ask them to focus on a certain aspect of agriculture like dairy, and then they would be given everything. So they come in thinking they were going to be doing dairy work, and then they have to do horticulture questions and swine questions and all sorts of things, which people weren't happy doing that. They wanted to be able to focus on something. So it was creating staff turnover, and we weren't getting people that were trained in a cross-disciplined enough way to be able to handle everything that was coming to them. And so that's part of the reason they were leaving too. The other major challenge that we've been facing for a long time was agriculture is really well organized at the state level into various organizations, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Farm Bureau, Farmers Union, the cranberry growers are organized, the vegetable growers are organized, the fruit producers, they're all organized into various beef producers, swine, all of that. They're all organized into associations, and those associations come together in a group called the Agriculture Coalition, and they lobby together. So they've been lobbying at the state level, and which has actually resulted in us not being able to increase our funding across the state because they have been asking us to have more specialized positions. So beef producers wanted people focused on beef, the corn growers wanted people focused on corn, you know, yada, 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 down the line. So we were getting pressure. Counties were wanting more generalized staff, and we were getting pressure from the ag groups that they wanted more specialization. So we were ending up in a tight spot in the middle as well. So during the pandemic, we had at least 12 months of a hiring freeze. I think it was more than that. But we had at least 12 months. So we took our time to organize a group of our ag educators and some of our extension specialists. And we talked a lot about our staffing for agriculture and what changes we could make to meet some of these challenges that we are having. I have 5 programs within my institute: crops and soils, dairy and livestock, those horticulture, some of the ones you can imagine. Within each of those programs, we had staff. We had all of our staff sort of look at the staffing plan we were having, or we were heading towards, and giving us input and helped us fill out some of the details. We also went back and started to share, once we had a good framework for a staffing plan, we went back and shared it with all of those agriculture organizations, spent a lot of time with our dean and meeting with individual groups and showing them what we were thinking. And then during the pandemic, we were not immune from the Great Resignation. So we had a lot of our staff leave during COVID, just because that seems like what happened to everybody. And we were no different. So we had a significant number of vacancies. So as we started coming out of our hiring freeze, we had groups of counties that were really wanting to get some agriculture staff back. So we started sharing our plan with them and started hiring regional educators into our new staffing plan. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So rather than one educator that does everything in a county, we're hiring people that are focused on some specific aspect of agriculture or horticulture, and they're working over a bigger geography. So dairy production and crop production are our most dense industries in the state. So we are hiring more of those people, and they're going to work at a multiple county level. So those are ranging anywhere from 3 to 5 counties. We're negotiating as we go and looking at the size of the industry. So for example, in Northeast Wisconsin, a lot of cows. So we're staffing at a higher density for dairy, whereas in other parts of the state, we obviously don't need as people covering, they can cover a bigger geography. For all of the other types of outreach, for all of the other types of agriculture and horticulture disciplines, we're hiring people called outreach specialists, which are working at a big region, like 1/3 of the state, or they're working statewide. A lot of them are going to be working statewide. And those are going to be focused on things like farm management, livestock, emerging crops. We added some new positions around agriculture and water quality, which is a big concern for both people, the society as a whole, and our farmers. So we're doing some agriculture water quality positions, cranberry position, and then we have some horticulture diagnostics positions and master gardener coordinators that will work statewide to organize our volunteer program. So what does it look like if you're in a county? This is my example county. And so in that example county, you would be covered by a regional crops educator that's going to serve the needs of the crop producers, covered by a regional dairy educator that would be serving the needs of the dairy producers in the county. And then for all other types of inquiries or questions or programming needs, people in that county would access our outreach specialists that will be creating content. So for example, horticulture questions coming into counties are going to be routed to our main horticulture diagnostics system, where questions come in, and then we have people working on the back end to sort questions, send them to master gardeners and get them answered. If we have farms that are interested in labor issues, they might go to one of our outreach specialists that will be working on farm HR issues. Producers that are interested in farmer-led watershed groups, which is really popular right now, they might access some of the resources developed by our ag water quality specialists. And then so on and so on. It's a layering approach. So if you're in one county, you don't access one person for everything, you access different people or different programs for different needs. So the funding model is different as well. Typically, when counties have bought into an extension educator, they're purchasing a flat fee per educator. We're taking that same funding model and we're just spreading it out over a region. So We're only asking counties to buy into the regional educators, even though they will have access to all those outreach specialists. The regional educators depends on how many counties they cover. That will determine how much the county pays. So simple example, in 2023, an extension educator fee for a county is $44,900. If you had a regional crops educator covering 3 counties, and then a regional dairy educator covering 3 counties, they each pay a third of that fee, add those 2/3 together, and it's $29,934 for the access to the 2 regional dairy or regional educators. Hopefully that makes sense. Try to make it as simple as possible. There's going to be some complicated arrangements across the state depending on how it looks once we determine the coverage area. So office location, technology, and travel may be some additional costs, but we're sort of negotiating that as we go with counties. As we're hiring regional educators, we're letting them determine where they would like to live and work. And so we're adding that as another recruitment strategy. They have a little more flexibility in where they can live. So we're kind of using that as a way to negotiate once we get them on board. And then all of those state outreach specialist positions that you saw will be covered by extension or some other type of funding model, but it's not a straight funding model with the counties. We're just asking the counties to buy into the regional positions. So what can counties expect from the regional educators? They're going to do things that we have always traditionally done, but just within their discipline. So a regional crop educator is going to provide educational training, field days on crop production. They would do direct consultation with farmers or agriculture consultants, just like we always have. They might participate in some digital outreach, webinars, websites, social media, that sort of thing. And then those regional educators will be engaging with the county committees that are within their service area. So we decided as we started to roll this out that we wouldn't do it we would do it through attrition. So we didn't fire everybody and start over. We're just doing it as we have vacancies across the state. As I mentioned, we've had significant vacancies that have occurred both through retirement and resignation through the pandemic. So we are rapidly transitioning into this new model. It's probably about 75% of the state has already gone in this direction just because of the layout of vacancies. And we've repurposed some single county educators. They've become regional educators. So we've done some moving around with people as well. Also, as we rolled out this new staffing plan, the ag groups that had lobbied against us at the state level lobbied for us, and they got us $1 million of new funding this last year to hire all of these outreach specialists. So this is where we're currently at. We have 8 regional crops educators that are hired across the state, 6 regional dairy educators, and then all of these outreach specialists are currently hired or mostly hired. So you'll notice the beef and swine positions are still in the hiring phase, but we have 4 agriculture water quality outreach specialists, 1 emerging crops, 3 farm management, 2 of the livestock I mentioned are in the hiring phase, cranberry, grazing, a couple horticulture, and then a master gardener coordinator, and we're hiring 1 more of those. So it's allowed us to move rapidly into this, which we thought we were going to have to do it slowly over time, but the Ag Coalition support has allowed us to do this much more quickly than we thought. I'll point out one that's relevant for your area. So agriculture water quality, obviously in the central part of Wisconsin, is related to groundwaters. So the WPVGA, aware of that? Is anyone aware of that organization? The Wisconsin Potato and Vegetable Growers Association. So they're part of the lobbying effort. And so we had worked with them to designate one of these water quality positions to central Wisconsin, and they'll be working on water quality here. So I'll stop there, take questions, thoughts, comments. Maureen?
You have 8 regional crop educators in the dairy. How many is your goal to get to?
I originally, so there's goals and then the reality, right? So originally when we started making maps, we thought we would land with about 16 crops and 9 dairy. They're probably gonna be more similar to each other as we've been rolling this out. A lot of times we start negotiating and then as counties group together, we start staffing them similarly because that's how we're able to put counties together. So it might end up more like 12 and 12, depending on where things land. So we're not quite there yet. We're still, all of these outreach specialist positions, we've had a lot of people that were currently working for us apply for those. So there's still a bunch of new regional positions we're negotiating.
Question? Heidi?
Heidi, do you want to kind of vision, so we've got Natasha in one of the regional crops educator positions. How did you see Adams County having any more staffing related to dairy livestock?
Yeah, so this, so clearly in here, in the staffing plan, there's a regional crops educator, and then we also talked to counties about a regional dairy educator. So there is an opportunity for Adams County to also buy into a second regional position. In some parts of the state, dairy is a clear winner. People are like, yes, dairy, we want dairy here because it's clearly a big industry. This part of the state, I understand it's not as dense as an industry here. So there could be an opportunity. I'm starting to think about maybe those regional positions could be focused on livestock and they could focus on more like beef production or something that might be relevant. So there is an opportunity to buy into a second position. There's interest from the counties around you in that as well. So there would be a way that we could pull together a group of counties if Adams County was interested in that as well.
How does one navigate that? So how are we to show you we're interested?
If you tell me you're interested, then Pat, I've been on a tour of all the counties in your area. I only have one left to go, Green Lake. So I've been to all the rest of them just within the last few weeks. And so we're having this exact same conversation. We've gotten, because I've loosened up in this maybe making it more livestock rather than dairy, that has been interesting to some of the other counties. So I think there would be potential if you're interested in as well, we could look at particularly the counties that Natasha's already covering, pull that group together and also be able to put together a regional livestock educator.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bill?
Can anybody tell me how many staff? How many staff do we have in Adams County Extension?
Currently we have Evan, who's your 4-H positive development educator. Sheila Michaels is your health and well-being educator. And then Natasha, and so those two are both full-time FTEs. And then you have Natasha, who just started today, and she is the 3-county regional crops educator. So you're paying for 1/3 of an FTE there. Then you have a support staff person full-time, and Linda Arneson. We'll have a new half-time support staff person because Larry Arneson just retired. The other 3 educators we have in the extension office are funded through what's called FoodWise. And FoodWise is funded by federal dollars, so the county doesn't pay anything for their salary and benefits. The only contribution that Adams County makes for those positions is related to like having them have a space for a desk, or maybe making copies once and again, or supporting their IT equipment.
So how many?
So you want to know how many? 1, 2, 3 educators plus 1.5 support staff.
6.
Correct.
And health and well-being covers what now?
It's like the old family living educator, but they divided that program area into several divisions, and health and well-being covers, can you give them a quick?
Yeah, my role in health and well-being covers mental health and well-being and physical health.
How cool?
It's a community, it's a community health educator position, so I do a lot of work with coalitions and also do a lot of work with young people and do programming that's open to the public as well.
And that wouldn't be with the health and human services, you're separate from that, you're.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder how you ended up over there.
We have a health and wellbeing institute, so just like on the Ag Institute, we have 6 institutes in Extension. And health and wellbeing is one of them, and they do work like she described, which is improving health and wellbeing of people.
Okay.
So it's a little different delivery. It's an educational role, which is generally a little bit different.
But that's something, Bill, we should definitely allow, she would speak to the committee at the next meeting, so that we can have a better understanding of that for you. Okay?
So we're talking basically 6 employees, and are they all over there at the library in one office?
Correct, that's the extension
Do
office.
you each have an office space there?
Yes, yes, we are actually just rearranged some things, so we can facilitate having office space over there for them and the ADRC staff that shared that space. So it kind of worked out nicely that we were able to get that equipment rearranged, and
It seemed like a small office when I
It
was
is.
over there.
we have to come back, we're gonna have to invite you back over so you can see.
Oh, I'll come over.
Natasha though spends time not only in Adams County, but she'll spend
Yeah.
time in Western.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Heidi, what kind of results have you seen with the 8 regional crop educators that are already in place? And Natasha, I'm assuming you're one of the 8, so you're new, so you're not on
Yeah.
the.
We're all very new.
Yeah, the
Some
first-
of them,
okay.
Like the first one was hired, I think, in December.
Okay.
So it's very new.
Very new. Yeah, our first one was up in Northwest Wisconsin, Polk, Pierce, St. Croix, and Barron counties. And I mean, he's doing really, really well. He's looking at working, and this will be something that we'll just keep working through. How do we work at a broader geography but still have impact? And we know we have lots of crop consultants, agronomists, and people in the industry that are out there. How do we interface with them? Make sure they have research-based information that helps them do their job. So he's especially working on things like that I think will help all the regional educators.
Terrific, thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I would just like to just have a little input on the dairy
Yes.
versus livestock.
Sure.
I mean, our dairy industry in Adams is declining
Right.
rapidly. I mean, I
Right.
think there's 5 or 6 maybe
Yeah. Got it.
dairy farms, but so that would just be my input.
Yeah, no, I've looked up all the statistics for this area. I agree with you. It's a much smaller industry. I mean, clearly vegetables are large around here, and then livestock, there would be some of the other livestock that would be beyond.
And so would the dairy then be able to have, the outreach that they could go to?
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't want to drop them. They're still
Right.
important.
Right, I'm sort of like, this has been a recent, I'm sharing with you, not fully formed thoughts. You would be sort of my first area starting to explore loosening up this and going with livestock. What I'm envisioning though is that you have dairy educators that are gonna be in the surrounding areas and that they do some, information sharing and working together. Because in those areas, they have livestock producers that may not get all their needs met. So there can be, and I mean, that's our network and extension. Or across the state, we always share our resources. So we would make sure that happens.
And our dairy, they are opposite ends of the county quite a bit, and just being in ag, we often have to go to another county to learn to do. and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff, so.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, extension, particularly my institute, we invest in people that work out in the state, our field staff. That's what we're talking about today. We also have 60 researchers that are funded by extension that do research in all parts of agriculture. And so there's multiple dairy researchers that are doing research on reproduction and nutrition and things like that, which a lot of the big dairy farms are accessing those researchers as extension specialists. So there's also that component that doesn't, may not be as clear, but those dairy farmers definitely know how to go find that research.
I'm gonna interject one more thing about extension. So if you look at the land and water agenda, you have something on number 14 that says CSGCC. So Heidi just mentioned the networking that we do. The individual from Portage County's extension office, Nathan Sandwick, he is a community development educator through extension, and he's been working with that group. So it's just this really interesting network that we continue to realize that extension is touching that maybe we weren't as aware of as a community before. So I think it's important for us to know that we benefit from that here in Adams County, even though we don't have a community development educator here. And I know that as you move forward, Dustin, with the water stuff, that you're gonna be working with Kevin Mazurik from the UW Stevens Point Water Lab, and he is extension supported as well. So I think it's just important for us to always be aware of that, so that we can keep networking that way.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Kevin. I mean, we work a lot with Kevin too, and looking at, drinking water and where leaching is happening from ag fields. And so there's a ton going on. A lot of the researchers that I mentioned are very involved in that issue of all aspects of groundwater quality.
I think one of the things that would be an important takeaway is how important networking is, because I do think there's a degree of overlap that we should all be participating in and understanding, who our resources are and who's available to us. So anyway, okay, that's all I have to say.
I just have one more question.
Yeah.
How are you going to get word out to people that, for example, our new position, that she's available?
Yeah. So, it's the same, it's a bigger geography, but same concept. So you got to get out and find people where they're gathering. So Natasha emailed me yesterday and said she wanted to go to a field day this morning, first thing. I said, yes, go. So that's how you got to get out and meet people. And, if you show that you're a good listener and responsive to those people, word tends to spread pretty fast. So it's the same concept a county educator would use. It just is over a bigger geography. So, and there's, all of these producer-led watershed groups, which I think was the field day that you went to, maybe.
It was Foxborough Demonstration Network.
Okay. So there's so much organizing amongst farmers right now around the water quality and soil health stuff that it's an exciting time to be able to get out there and go to a lot of these different farmer events that are coordinated by farmers and farmers are presenting. So I think there's a lot of opportunity right now to network.
I have a plan for a roadshow. He doesn't know about it.
That we'll learn more today.
So I'm gonna take this opportunity, I'm gonna pass this around, Natasha, this might be something that you wish to attend, but I encourage all the committee members to read it and think about attending. Bill, we'll start with you. But that is a farmers of grocery free event coming up June 28th.
Also, it's in our computer.
Okay, so.
Maybe you call that thing.
Right, but that might be an opportunity, that would be beneficial to get your name out. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out where we were bopping back and forth from. Number 12. So Doreen, FSA report?
Begging she's looking at me every time I talk, so I'm probably not close enough to my microphone. So the last time we met was in the beginning of May, and I missed last month's meeting. So at that meeting, we discussed how, the main discussion was about how to get the producers their maps and a plan. We primarily left it up to the office staff. They're the ones that got to do all the legwork and do everything, behind the scenes. There was some input from committee members that they really didn't want to come to the office to get maps, and so ultimately the staff decided to send out maps to the producers and that they would need to return them when they were finished. And so that was primarily it. And then the end of last month, we got notice that there was a new emergency relief program that came out. FSA doesn't have a lot to do with the program. And if a producer is eligible, they would be getting a notification and how to proceed from there. So other than that, I don't have anything.
Does anyone have any questions for Doreen? All right, thank you, Doreen. Okay, 14, Central Sands Groundwater County Collaboration Committee report. I have nothing to report on that. Oops, right, APHIS, I'm sorry, yep, Wyatt, backing up a little bit. APHIS permanent fence request, is Wyatt on deck? Okay, Wyatt, do you wanna share with us on the whole cranberry fencing? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Waiting for that to load. So I'm on the meeting today to have a permanent fence justification and then basically an outline approval by the county committee to move forward with a permanent fence project for a cranberry grower. It's for Owen Rock, formerly it was Red Mountain Cranberries in northern Adams County.
Why did you say that we need to vote? Well, oh, sorry. Do we need to vote on this to move it forward?
Yeah, I need to just have a formal motion for both the fence design layout and the fence justification request just to move forward. And then at a later date, we will do basically a budget amendment for the cost of the fence. And then that will basically be passed from the DNR and then through you guys. So then it's not costing the county anything. It's just this is the first step in that. And then later we'll do a budget amendment when we find out from the bidding that will take place on what the actual cost of the fence will be. And all that money is through the DNR. It's not through you guys at all, but it passes through, I believe, the county hands. So
Why is it just deer pressure that this cranberry farm is experiencing?
yeah, deer damage.
Okay.
So on the justification sheet, as you can see, like when Barry did it, he looked at it in 2020, and there's roughly $7,000 in damage. So if we take that times 15 years worth of claims at $7,000, that's over $100,000. And probably cranberries will probably go up in price. But so the cost of the fence is going to be probably half of that, and that's a one-time thing. So in the end, would probably save us anywhere from $70,000 plus over the next 15 years.
Okay.
Excuse me. Is that a zoning change or why can't they just put up the fence?
I think they're looking for cost sharing, is my understanding.
But he said there would.
So
I think between the
part
landowner
of-
and the DNR, right?
Why are
Or
we?
why they'll explain.
Why in this committee? I'm not following.
Land and water.
So
handles-
because you guys are,
Sorry, go
you
ahead.
want me to
Wyatt.
explain it? So part of the damage program, one of the abatements that we can recommend sometimes in a case like this where there's extreme damage going on and it's feasible is that we can recommend the abatement of a permanent fence. And so once we recommend that, then that's the route that the landowner needs to go. And the program is it's a 70-30 cost share. And so the landowner, or 75-25, sorry. And so the landowner will end up paying 25% of the total cost of the fence, and the DNR will pay 75% of that cost for the fence. And it's a program we offer for people that have this type of situation where it's a high commodity crop, it's high priced, such as cranberries. Instead of just paying out, max claims to these people every year for 15 years, a lot of times it's cheaper to help them get a fence installed, and then their issues are completely resolved. We don't have to keep paying them out claims every year through the state. So anyway, because you guys are enrolled in the damage program and have that, then it just has to go through you guys just to make you aware of it and approve, to go ahead. It's just basically a checklist item.
Why, if I'm not mistaken, money would come, goes through the county, correct?
Yes, correct. So we will make a budget amendment and then that'll be, the DNR ends up basically paying that amount at a later date.
Right,
But
but
what, well, first we have to get the bid in, all that, to find out what the real cost is. This is an estimate. But it won't affect anything for you guys. It'll just be, we have to change it on paper, the budget amendment for the year, and then that'll all be reimbursed, so.
right, no, I understand that why. We have a very, a good portion of the committee is brand new, so they've, never seen anything to do with APHIS before. When.
Sure.
So if we get to the end, you know, you got all your bids, the total amount that APHIS would be paying, or DNR would be paying, that money gets deposited into the county and then we send it back out, correct?
Yeah, I think essentially that's how it works. I can get further clarification on that if you need. This is the first time going through the permanent fence process for me, but that's my understanding of it. It's not gonna cost you guys anything. It's just a matter of basically moving the numbers around back and forth, so.
Right, and it's essentially the same for, say, like deer damage claim or wildlife damage claim, correct?
Yeah, it's similar to that, yep.
And one of the, and not for UI, but for the committee, so a committee at the county level has to handle it, and it's always been with Land and Water. So that's why it's in front of you today. Hope that kind of answers your.
Well, yeah. So Windbreak wouldn't handle this, huh?
No.
So what kind of fence is it?
So this is it's an 8-foot woven wire fence. It'll have basically its posts and it's a permanent fence with gates on it. It goes all the way to the ground. And then we inspect it every year for 15 years to ensure that the cooperator is complying with all the fence recommendations and requirements. And if they don't, then we give them basically some time to correct that or fix it. Otherwise, I could come back to you guys and say, this so-and-so cooperator is not maintaining their fence. And I think we should recommend removal from the program, and then they would have to pay back the prorated amount of whatever that cost of that fence was based on how much time they have left in their 15-year contract. So they don't just get the fence, they have to maintain it, and we check it for a 15-year period to ensure compliance, because we don't want more damage happening, especially when we're putting this kind of investment in to help these people with wildlife damage.
Wyatt, can I ask you a question? This is Jody. What happens
Yep.
if this property exchanges hands? How do you?
So this contract is written into the deed. So if it sells, that whole contract goes with it, and the next landowner would have to maintain it, or they would be on the hook for paying that
Okay,
prorated amount back. So,
okay,
which sometimes things do change, and the new landowner chooses to just buy it out instead of staying in the program. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Wyatt? I guess we need to make a motion to approve this. I move that we approve.
Second.
Second by Phil. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Seeing as there's no nay and all ayes, the motion is passed. Now, I'm on to 14. Central Sands Groundwater County Collaboration. I have nothing to report. Have you heard anything, Megan, through Anna, Dustin? Okay, so we'll leave this on the agenda because I do believe there's a meeting coming up that I'll be attending. Going on to 15, Lake Alliance report. I'm a little confused on this one. So has there been an appointment made by the ACLA for an appointment to the Lake Alliance? To the Land and Water Committee? Oh, Bill, are you on?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, at the last Lake Alliance meeting, we did agree to recommend Chuck Quick for that position, and we forwarded that information to Lyanna at the county clerk's office, along with a copy of the draft minutes confirming that vote. And so I think the rest is up to the county board now.
Okay, so that'll be probably approved at the next county board. I have not seen the agenda yet on that,
Yeah.
so, okay. Okay, so are there any questions about the Lake Alliance report that's attached? And Bill, can Chuck speak to these questions since he is here?
Sure.
Okay, so are there any questions for Chuck? Seeing none, okay.
I see that, that Barb Morgan is on the, Lake for Peppermill. Is that correct? That's the same thing? No. No?
Yes, I think she was appointed at the last board meeting.
For
County board
Peppermill?
meeting.
Okay, so she wanted to keep that position.
I am not aware, was Barb on Peppermill before?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Bill?
Yeah, I'm quite intrigued about the Adams County Lake Alliance because, I'm always hopeful that things that can be done on a local level because of the familiarity with the situation. And I really like these reports a lot. And to me, it's probably the most effective presentation that I see here, you know, what's going on in our lakes. And I would just like to say that, you know, there's always people out there looking for money. And I don't know how they feel about things, but I know that they were on the cutting edge. They were one of the few people that brought up the issue of chemical and the plan for chemical treatment and mechanical treatment, which is going to be so important to all these lakes. It's going to be unbelievable. Because I'm not a lawyer, but I can see that the repercussions besides the penal state of it, 26% increase to people that are already maintaining a fleet of mechanical harvesters. You know, at what point are they just gonna give that up and say, go ahead, put the chemical on there? We're not gonna go any farther, $2,500 a year, plus permitting fee, plus, I believe, an acreage fee. And now this hasn't passed, but this committee brought it, or this alliance brought it to my attention. It kind of got me thinking, you know, I'd like to help groups locally that help the county, and these guys are part of the county, and I don't know if there's anything that they would like to see from us that would either strengthen that alliance or are there resources they need. I don't know if Bill can address that or not.
Bill, do you want to address Bill's question?
Wow. Well, thank you for your interest for sure. Yeah, the Lake Alliance is, I guess, we've been pretty much focused on education and sharing best practices, and that's pretty much the role we've taken over the last few years. But lately, there's been some recent, you know, this administrative change that is being discussed. We'll be discussing at the next meeting, and so far, we've been working well with the county in terms of being able to, you know, share what we've learned with the Land and Water Conservation Committee. So that's been working really great so far, I think. But I can definitely bring Supervisor Wimmer's comments up at the next Alliance meeting a week from Thursday, and we can go from there.
Hey, Bill, in regards to that, back a few months ago, we were talking about getting the ACLA meeting on the Adams County calendar. I still don't see it out there unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, they haven't been. I'll follow up on that. I'll talk to Lyanna.
That'd be great, because then, and Bill, maybe you want to share your email or whatever, so if there's anyone here on the committee level. I try to attend as many ACLA meetings as I can, because I just think they're really informative. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Megan has my email address. Maybe that can be forwarded through her, maybe, or.
Either that or you can put it on the chat and.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, so no questions on the report specifically. So we're gonna go to the DATCP report. Has anyone had a chance to read it? Are there any questions? So just a tidbit of information. The DATCP presentation, the five-year, let me get this from LWRM. Hopefully, yeah, land and water, okay. That was done this morning and the board accepted it. And Anna and Chuck, along with Dustin, did the presentation. I think they did a really good job. So there's that. I don't know, since there's no other questions, we'll just move on to the next. Dan's report.
All right, so Anna's been monitoring the dams as she always does. The big question, or the big topic, is the Easton Dam. As of Friday, about 5, 6 o'clock, the dam is completely repaired and functional. When they finished up repairs, the gate wasn't quite open far enough. The lake started to fill up. That was fixed Saturday morning, and the lake is dropping. It's dropped about 1.5 foot since Saturday afternoon. That will be drawn down as much as possible, and it'll stay that way until approximately the end of August, possibly very, very beginning of September. And at that time, we'll start the process of refilling the lake, and as soon as that's completed, then the restocking will happen. And then that will be completely completed. But the primary takeaway there is that the dam is.
So being fixed, the gate system has been tested structurally.
Yes.
Pressure wise. Oh, okay. And then the what kind of fish are coming in the fall?
All kinds. Bass, sunfish, or number of different panfish. I believe there's some northern coming in. What we did was, on the county level, we did the resolution, we're funding it. I'm working with a gentleman from Easton Lake District who did the stocking last year.
Larry Mullen.
Yep, and he's the one that has the contact, so I put it in his hands and said, you have $18,000 to spend on fish.
And now does Jennifer Bergman?
Yes.
She guides that kind of.
She regulates it, I guess would be a better way to put it. I mean, she definitely has input. She's the one that suggests or strongly suggesting, and I completely agree, to keep it drawn down. The reason is that could we fill it today? Sure. Then the carp population that they've been working so hard to take care of would come back over the summer, and then the restocking would help. So by keeping it drawn down, we're preventing that population from exploding, and then the fish that we restock with will take care of it naturally.
So how do they, take care of the carp?
My understanding is between eating them and the eggs. It's how it naturally, it's supposed to be in nature, but when the carp population took off, it just. Yeah, they are invasive. But that's. And if they were allowed to build up a population over the summer.
So you're talking it's a natural, the breeding fish will eventually take care of the carp?
That's the idea. And it would have worked, and what happened was the dam. I mean, they've been working on removing the carp population there for a few years now, yeah. And last spring, Eastern Lake District basically drained their funds and stocked the lake with fish for this purpose. 5 months later, the dam broke and all those went downstream. And we've now fixed the dam, and that's why we're, on my suggestion, we're the ones that are paying to restock the fish because it's our dam that failed.
Okay, any other questions for Dustin? Okay, well testing program report.
All right, so the registration for that well testing program that we've been talking about for few months now, did close a little while ago. We've had some late stragglers coming in. Our original goal was 150 participants, and as of this morning, we hit 150. Originally, or as the deadline approached, we were very low in, or I guess, a couple weeks before the deadline, we were pretty low in Monroe and town of Leola. What we did was we sent out a mailing to a number of property owners up there, and a lot of them just hadn't seen any other advertising that we had, and that worked. Nearly instantly, we started getting a lot more calls. We were shooting for 50 per town. I think we're still low in Leola, we're still under 50. But we did get extra in Rome, the ones that, and there is still time that we can still possibly pick up the Leola 50. The drop off, or excuse me, the pickup is on next Wednesday. And we're doing both right away in the morning and in the evening. And the following Monday is when the citizens will bring it back to their, or to the town halls or the drop-off sites. And Anna will be taking, or somebody will be taking it up to the lab and analysis. And then later on in the summer is when we do the educational outreach with the results. Oh, and for that, Anna did a great job putting the program together and making it happen.
So one of the questions I had was how long does it take for testing? And Anna answered that for me, about 4 to 5 weeks. So once the samples come back and they're handed into the laboratory, the lab is given 4 to 5 weeks. They might get them done sooner than that, but they have at least a month to get those done. And then the educational event that Dustin was referring to has been moved to August 2nd. And it's at the Rome Community Room at 6 p.m. if anyone is interested on that. So, okay. Any questions on the well testing program? All right, staff report. One of the questions I had for Anna was in regards to this that was notified to everyone. So if you're planning on attending, get a hold of Anna. That's the Farmers of the Roche Creek Producer-Led Group event. Again, that's on January 28th. Are there any questions in regards to the staff report? Okay. Any questions for anyone that Dustin could answer? You know that the staff isn't here except for Megan. You drew a short straw. So, all right. Okay, Dustin.
All right, so as Jody mentioned, we did do our update this morning, a little background, it was a presentation you guys saw 3 weeks ago, I guess it was. It's part of a 10-year plan. After 5 years, we have to give an update, and we are a little behind that, but she mentioned it, but I guess I can't give enough props to, or credit to my staff. I asked them to put together a presentation. Anna took the lead, Megan and Anna took the lead on making the PowerPoint. And one of the feedback we got from DACAP was, they see a lot of, or they see all 72 counties every 5 years. Best presentation they've seen. So I really want to give credit where credit's due with Anna and Megan and the staff on that. And then they were I was very happy with their response this morning. They were very happy with the direction our office is going. A lot of times when you combine departments, it can sometimes land and water gets thrown by the wayside. And I'm trying to do everything I can to not let that happen. And I think they recognize that this morning. They really like the programs we have going. The element plan and hopefully staff stabilization as we move forward. Because there has been a fair amount of turnover just over the years. And hopefully there's an end to that. Oh, I have on that.
Any questions for Dustin? All right, we will go on to the next thing, Dustin. Financials. Did everyone get a chance to read the financials? Are there any questions on them? Okay, we're gonna go on to the next. Committee countywide tour date. I have a couple questions. One, what kind of dates are we thinking? And two, what projects will it involve? And I highly recommend it to everybody on the committee. It was very informative when I went my first time. So if I'm thinking of the right thing, okay.
I'm gonna leave this to my program outreach coordinator. She did a great job putting one together for you.
So you love me here. Couple dates we have picked out, and this is, you guys need to tell us when works best for you, so all your calendars. We're thinking either Tuesday, July 12th or Thursday, July 14th. It would be next month if this works for everybody. What was it? Tuesday, July 12th or Thursday, July 14th. And this would roughly be a 6-hour kind of an all-day kind of thing. And what we do, so what we do is we kind of show you guys what land and water is, right? What do we do? We want to show you our projects that we do around the county. So when we talk about something that's being cost shared, you understand specifically what it is that we're cost sharing or what we've done in the past and moving forward, what we still do. So like one of the things that we're talking about is maybe showing a windbreak that we've done and cost shared with. There's a mineral storage pit that we've cost shared with. We want to show you that. There's a dam we want to kind of show you so you know how the dams kind of operate. A mine site is another one we want to show you. We regulate mine sites.
Scarlett?
Yep, last year, 2021. Anna, Jason, and I did Scarlet Huntington. So it's a beach club project. So restoring beach club, not specifically beach club, just shoreline beach projects that we've done. So just kind of giving you an overview. So when we talk about something or need approval on something, you kind of have an idea of what specifically it is.
What time is it? Time there?
Well, I was kind of.
Depending on dates.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe start at 9. In the past, I mean, we can do whatever. This is specifically for our committee, committee members. It is open to public. It has to be, but yeah. So there would be an agenda, and then like we have that time.
The idea, I think, was 9 to roughly 3, starting in the north probably, and then on our way towards the south, stop, have lunch. And continue on. But it can be pretty free form if somebody has.
Or if there's anything specific that
Right.
you want to look at too.
Meet here at the courthouse?
Yes, yep, it would, because I have to do an agenda, so we have to, start the meeting as like a regular agenda.
And then we're carpooling, is my understanding, or not?
Still in the process of transportation yet.
We were talking about getting maybe like, ADRC van or something.
Well, that would be nice. That fits.
We make no guarantees, but Megan's working on it.
Okay,
Well, I need to know a date first.
Yes, that is.
right. Okay, so we're looking at Tuesday, July 12th or Thursday, July 14th. Do I have any input? I heard someone say that works. Bill?
Works for me.
Okay.
Either works for me as long as the sun's not shining.
Well, that'll be a project we set on with you. Okay, so Mike, you can't speak for Scott.
No, I'm gonna send him an email,
Okay,
explain to him what's going on with him. Send Megan a date that he would be available, or if wonderful.
okay. And if Scott doesn't get a hold of you, I can get a hold of him or you can get a hold of him. Chuck,
I'm good,
either one?
you know,
Okay, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bruce and Scott are outstanding.
How about you?
I almost have to double check on the one. Can I'll, when I get home, I'll check and,
So if we can get maybe a date by the end of the week, is that acceptable?
sure.
Then we can start working on the rest of the details.
Okay, I think Bruce comes back into town. Might be next week, maybe not at the end of this week. Well, I'll text him or whatever, so, okay, all right. And let's see,
Before you move on to the next item, I did this is my staff report.
okay,
I said I would address it. So SAG funds, bond funds, every year we do push for utilizing those. Many counties do end up using or having funds left over. I think Supervisor McLaughlin did hit on a good a primary reason why it is like that. It's not a requirement, so people or property owners and producers still have to, it does still cost money, even though there is money available. One of the things that we have been talking about a lot, and we did talk about this morning in our meeting, or excuse me, in our presentation is outreach with the producers. And with the turnover we've had over the years, it does make it tougher, but right now the staff is making great inroads into touching base with producers and developing those relationships. And I believe that's going to lead to utilizing those funds more. And all of our goals is to actually get to the point where we're having we're able to accept the funds from the other counties that haven't used theirs. But it is something where we don't have nobody wants to use it, we can't force them.
so I have a question in regards to that. So Natasha Harris, she's gonna be the regional crop educator. If someone goes to her and asks, about an NMP, nutrient management plan, is it possible, I mean, I'm assuming she contacts Land and Water with this person's name and there's some kind of,
I would hope her answer is call Land and Water.
okay. So, and then that would be seg one.
And it kind of goes along with like,
Goes back to that.
Yeah. And it kind of goes along with like farmer preservation, I'm disappointed there's only 2 people involved in it. That's a pretty substantial income tax credit. But you have to have a nutrient management plan, so we are working on, and we have had interest and the people who have interest, we are working with it, or working with them. It's a very valuable program.
What do you suggest, Jody, if I may ask, you're seeing something involved with a nutrient management plan?
No, I'm really hopeful that as 2 different departments, they're actually coming together and communicating with one another. That's That's my hope, because like you said, Bill, if we've got said funds and we're not using them, then we're not aware that someone out there could potentially have that as a resource. So if it's going through the extension, I hope Land and Water is actually saying, bring them. And if it's going through you guys and they need some kind of educational aspect from it, it's a share.
And we work hand in hand with a lot of different organizations. You've heard from a number of them today. Same with other departments. One of the steps that we did take recently is actually the brochure that I think y'all have now. We've gotten that out to Farm Bureau, we've gotten it out to all the county board members. Kind of any place we can think of where it would fall in the hands of landowners.
What about NRCS? I mean, we're working, okay.
And there's a lot of, I mean, we do get referrals from other places, and I know we refer people to other places. It's a matter of knowing what programs are available, but what personally I think happens occasionally is people don't know them. They don't even know to go to one of the agencies asking the question. You have a brochure like this, and this is just one aspect that, I want our department to do, is to just say, okay, here's what we even have. Now we'll get into the details and try to get this in people's hands as word spreads and we keep making those relationships. The funds available will be.
So, let's say, somebody wants to make more ag land. So they cut down the timber, clear it out. Is that something that doesn't happen through the county? That's strictly between the landowner or the leaser or whatever it is?
Correct.
So there's no zoning change or anything that has to happen there.
If it's zoned A, right?
That's what I was gonna say.
If it's previously zoned ag. If it's not zoned ag, then they do have to go through the zoning board.
So what if it's zoned forest?
There is no such thing.
There is no,
Realize that without success.
yeah,
Right.
there is no such thing. So basically, when you cut the woods down, the underlaying hopefully is ag, and then, yeah.
And even some of the other districts do allow for ag uses, depending on what you want.
I guess I'm looking for trade-offs. I'm not looking to strong arm anybody, I'm just looking for trade-offs. And if they're out there, that they exist, then maybe it's something that we can look at. I'd like to see a little more, maybe
Input into what?
maybe a trade-off of some kind.
For what, I mean?
Well, for ground cover as opposed to, or shelter, as opposed to just maybe cutting down land or nutrient.
Well, that's where we're working with the farmers. One of the big things that we've been, or I keep pointing to Megan because she's the entire staff here. The rest of the staff has been working extensively with building those relationships to get farmers for cover crops. And we actually have, what was the number this morning? Thousands and thousands of acres of cover crop. But except what that does is amazing.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So don't, cover crops take a while to grow.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the hardest part with cover crops, is having the time after you
Yep.
harvest to plant and it grow. But I'm gonna tell you that there's been times where I've been in, the class down here. And ag instructor didn't know that there was money for cover crops in this area. In other counties, he knew. And so for me, getting the word out, having this brochure is extremely helpful. So thank you.
So there's more programs for cover crops.
It's right in that brochure. you have.
Yeah, there's 25 an acre, but it probably costs double that to plant,
Now it'd be terribly more expensive.
So
but even before.
education, as you heard UW Extension talk, education is a big component of our existence too. We're working towards it, and like I said, this is just one piece. because we're sure, but we're definitely,
So a lot of these programs, they are dispersed by DHECP, is that correct? And so like the option of having 25 per acre, that's set by them, not by you guys, is that correct?
correct.
Okay, are there any other communications that we need to address? I don't have any. So next meeting date is July 5th. And as there is no further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
July 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe is the first Tuesday.
Yes, July 5th, it's right after. It's a Tuesday.
Is the first Tuesday working out? Probably I should have done that during the meeting, but is the first